Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome to our January 18th council meeting. Mr. McBurnett, will you give us a roll call?
Councilor Halter. Here. Batolo. Here. Savage.
Here.
West.
Here.
Hickerson.
Here.
Zadi.
Here.
Demas.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Como.
Here. Councilors, first order of business, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the City Council meeting of January 4th, 2021.
So moved.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this is going to bring us directly into our bid openings. We have one bid from the Housing Authority for the fire damage repairs of 1455 Thompson number 7. We have one bidder, Tarfelli Construction, Rock Springs, Wyoming. One bidder. We do have a bid bond attached. Total bid, $40,500. $40,500. We will turn this bid over to staff for review and recommendation back to the City Council. To recognize Senator Cole with us here tonight. I didn't see you sitting over there in the corner. Glad to have you with us. Next item on our agenda, the appointment section of our agenda, councilors, and beginning as it's a new year, 2022 council standing committees are not going to change much. I'm just going to go through these, Mr. President, and submit them to you for a vote. Union negotiations meeting or committee is the full council. Trash and Recycling Committee, Tim Savage, Chairman, Tim Robinson, Jeannie Demas. Visual Improvements and Art, Keaton West, Chair, Larry Hickerson, Brent Batolo. Public Safety Committee, Tim Robinson, Chair, David Halter, Tim Savage. Water Sewer Committee, Keaton West, Chair, Rob Zadi, Tim Savage. Snow, Weed, Nuisance Control, Glenise Wendorf. Just kidding. Maybe she's watching. Rob Zadi, Chair, Larry Hickerson, Jeannie Demas. Municipal Court Committee, Tim Robinson, Chair, Brent Batolo, Larry Hickerson. Cemetery, Jeannie Demas, Chair, David Halter, Brent Batolo. Christmas Committee and Parades, Council President. Policy Review Committee, David Halter, Chair, Brent Batolo, Tim Savage. City Buildings, Vacant Buildings, Rob Zadi, Chair, Keaton West, Jeannie Demas. Legislative Lobbying Committee will be our full council and department heads. Joint Consolidation Efficiency Committee, myself, Mayor Rust, Commissioner will be, I think we have a change there. Won't be, we'll have to check, was Wendling and maybe Smith. Our council liaisons, sick leave committee, Jeannie Demas. Parks and Rec, Larry Hickerson. Ambulance, Tim Robinson. Regional Airport, Keaton West. SEDC will be myself. Rock Springs Chamber, Larry Hickerson. Historic Preservation Committee, Brent Patolo. Joint Powers Fiber Optics, Larry Hickerson, and Rock Springs will be our Rock Springs Council rep. Insurance Committee, Tim Savage. Companion Animal Committee, Jeannie Demas. Museum Board, Brent Patolo. URA Main Street, Tim Robinson. That's one change. Board of Health, Tim Robinson. Specific Purpose Tax Board, Tim Robinson. How's that retirement going?
It's great.
And our beautification tree committee is Keaton West. So, Mr. President, I submit the 2022 council committee, standing committee, and liaisons to you.
Councilors, before you are the mayor's appointments for the 2022 council standing committees. Is there any discussion on any of the appointments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Got a motion by Councilor Halter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Batolo. Roll call, please.
Counselor Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Robinson,
Okay. Yes.
Halter.
Yes.
Mayor, you have your appointments.
Much appreciated, Mr. President, members of the council, and I do appreciate everybody's buy-in in trying to make these meetings and do the best we can to support each and every one of these committees and as our liaisons, the agencies that we represent. With that, we're going to move on to presentations and our proclamations. And item number one here tonight, we have Mark Tesoro with us with the Southwest Wyoming Off-Road Trails. Mark, if you'd like to come up and take the podium, make sure the microphone is turned on, and give us an idea of what you're proposing.
Good evening, everyone. Is this working? Sounds okay. Mayor Cuomo, Chairman West, and council members, thank you so much for allowing me to present tonight Southwest Wyoming Off-Road Trails, also called SWOT, or SWOT. I did send a couple of signs around so you can kind of see what that looks like, but it just the acronym for Southwest Wyoming Off-Road Trails is SWOT. SWOT is an economic development project for the communities of Southwest Wyoming. I did get the chance to visit with a handful of you in advance of the meeting, so I appreciate you taking my phone calls, and my apologies to those of you who I wasn't able to talk to. I took an idea to the Economic Development Commission last year, about a year and a half ago, the idea of connecting the communities of Southwest Wyoming with a series of off-road motorized trails so that somebody could come into the state, stay in one of the communities, stay at a hotel or a campground, fill up at a gas station, eat in a restaurant, and then drive through maybe what would be the county road system or a trail system in order to make it to another community and see all that there is to see in Southwest Wyoming. The Economic Development Commission liked the idea. I thought that they would take the idea and run with it and come up with a plan, but unfortunately they pushed it back on my shoulders and said, why don't you do something? And so at that point I kind of realized maybe it's not always best to just have government take over something. Sometimes it has to be a grassroots project with stakeholders. And so one of the first people that I contacted was Rick Schuler, who was the district ranger for the Forest Service and the Uintas up above Evanston, where they already have 350 miles of off-road trails for ATVs. His wife is, of course, Senator Wendy Schuler, And so the three of us got together and started putting this plan in motion to get a group of stakeholders and interested parties together to see if this would be feasible. Since this is an economic development project for the communities, accessibility to the communities is paramount. So we started working with the city of Evanston the beginning of last year, and just in the spring of last year, they approved the city of Evanston approved all of the city roads and streets to be enrolled into the state of Wyoming's trail system, so that somebody could come in to Evanston, buy the $15 off-road sticker, and then drive all around town and then leave town to go to the next area. The county commissioners we worked with also in Uintah County, because we had to make it to that county road system in order to make it to the next community. And so the county commissioners eventually approved about 15 county roads for us to use to make those connections between Evanston and Bridger Valley. Once some of the other communities started hearing about what we were working on, they also wanted to get on board. And so those communities approached us, and I gave this exact same presentation to other communities. The communities of Lyman, Mountain View, Kemmer, LaBarge, Marbleton, Big Piney have all signed similar ordinances to the one that Evanston did. And really, Evanston did not pave the way. We weren't the first city or town to do this in the state of Wyoming. Partnering with the state off-road trails office, the town of DuBois was actually the first town to do that. And so we just mirrored their ordinance, and everyone else has been kind of mirroring that first original ordinance. In partnering with the state trails office, Rick Schuler had worked with state trails office and the group there, and was able to make the connection with Forrest Kaminga from State Trails. And so Forrest has been from State Trails office. Forrest has been to many of these same meetings. He was not able to attend tonight. He had some sickness pop up, so he did ask that we have somebody else from Wyoming State Parks here with me tonight. So I'll just turn the mic over to him in just a little bit, just for a few short words. And I do have a few other people here that would like to speak on behalf of SWAT. But really the idea is to bring people into the communities, and we may not have some of the the natural wonders that they have in other states, but we really have our own interesting and exciting and historical stuff to see here in Southwest Wyoming, whether it's places like historic Fort Bridger, Fossil Butte National Monument, the Oregon Trail, the Mormon Trail, Pony Express stations, the Cumberland Coal Mines, Piedmont Kilns, Names Hill, of course the Wild Horses, the Board's Tusk, Museum of the Mountain Man, the Red Desert. There really is a lot to see in Southwest Wyoming, and this would be a way to get people into the communities, have them stay maybe for a couple of days, and then ride from there to another community where they could do the same thing and instead of spending just a day or so in one of the communities, they could actually make a loop so that they could travel throughout all of the communities of Southwest Wyoming. And really the beauty of the project is that it doesn't have to start in Evanston. Nobody has to start in Evanston to come up here. They could start in Rock Springs and ride towards Kemmer. They could start in Pinedale. I gave this same presentation to the Pinedale Town Council last Monday. They could start in Pinedale and ride toward Fort Bridger. They could start in Kemmer and ride towards Flaming Gorge. Really the possibilities are endless on where people could come and ride here in Southwest Wyoming. And many of our neighboring states have done similar trails. And so it's really nothing new, the idea of connecting communities with off-road trails, but it would be new for Wyoming. Last year, down in Evanston, I run the newspaper down in Evanston, and I had come across a guy in Evanston that had a big trailer with a truck on it, and he had 5 or 6 ATVs and side-by-sides on the back of it. So I pulled up and I started talking to him. I said, "Where are you going? Where have you been?" And he said, the two guys were there. He said, "I've been on an 800-mile trip in southern Utah for 11 days down there." They had people fly in to Las Vegas. They picked them up, took them all around this big trip. They come out every year out west to ride different large-scale loops and trails. They're from Tennessee. And I was so impressed with them that I kept in touch with them. The guy's name was Mark Boyd. I kept in touch with Mr. Boyd all through summer. And when I gave this presentation to the Legislative Travel, Recreation, and Wildlife Committee in Du Bois this summer, I had him call in and testify to the public comment. The number of people that he brings out west every year to ride, and the importance of being able to connect into and out of the communities. How much money they spend each time they come out west. And really, again, this is nothing new. They have trail systems like this in many other parts of the country, but it's just new for Wyoming. Since we would be using much of the public land to try and make these connections between the communities, we had a meeting with the Lincoln County Commissioners, the Uintah County Commissioners, and Rick Schuler and myself, and some folks from the BLM office out of Kemmer last year. And of course, their first question is, are you looking at making new roads and trails on public lands? And really the answer is no. These are existing oil field roads, windmill roads, county roads, two-track roads, ranching roads that have been on the books for decades. So that's how we would be using the existing public right-of-way to make some of these connections. Down in Evanston, we have a little bit of an anomaly because the nearest county road to Evanston is the exit 10. If some of you are familiar with that, coming down off the Sisters, that last exit before you get into Evanston is the nearest county road to Evanston. So we worked much of last year to try and get the landowner who owns both sides of the interstate to the table and see if we could either do a recreational easement, if we could buy the property, just enough to put enough of a wide enough side-by-side trail in there to get to that first exit. Unfortunately, that conversation at the end of the year, he just was not interested. Our backup plan was to work with YDOT and see if YDOT would consider putting that trail inside the interstate right-of-way fence. Just for those 3-point-something miles. And much to our surprise, YDOT, the leadership team, Director Reiner and his leadership team at YDOT, and State Trails and State Parks, on behalf of SWAT, met together and said, we're going to figure out a way to get to yes on this project. And so the leadership team from YDOT has been throughout the state pitching some of the county commission associations, other meetings, other legislators, this project that we're working on. Accessibility, again, is such a key point to this project that we even have a bill moving forward at the upcoming legislature. With the many of the towns and cities in the state, including Rock Springs, have state highways running right through them. Downtown LaBarge, downtown Evanston, downtown Fort Bridger. So there are some state statutes already on the books with some of the language. You can use an ATV or a side-by-side for agricultural use if you have a shovel on back and you're maybe going, up and down the road to do your business. But YDOT is working, and Transportation and Highways are working with us on a bill that will move forward at the legislature to address some of these right-of-way issues for the communities, including Rock Springs. This is really an exciting project. We have many stakeholders that we've tried to bring to the table in the year and a half that we've been working on it. And I'll just kind of go through those kind of quickly, and you can see some of the scope. City councils, county commissioners, chambers of commerce, landowners, industry, business, game and fish commissioner, biologists and wardens, BLM, Forest Service, YDOT, wildlife advocacy groups, including Wyoming Wildlife Federation and Muley Fanatics, Wyoming Outdoor Council, Citizens of for the Red Desert, Tread Lightly, Sweetwater Outdoor Recreation Collaborative, State Trails, Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Office, Wyoming Business Council, Wyoming Department of Ag, grazing associations, representatives and senators, law enforcement, and highway patrol. So we've really tried to touch all of the bases that we can in order to make this a group effort for the region in order to get this off the ground. when we took this idea to state parks and state trails, they liked it so much that they would like to eventually see a dirt road trail system throughout the state so that you could travel maybe from here to Lander, or Lander to Gillette, or Gillette to Guernsey. I mean, they're looking at ways to make this feasible across the state. I talked to one of the legislators on the other side of the state, and I think it was Platte County, and he said, the only problem I have with this is that we don't have a trail system like this in Platte County. We want it here. And people that buy these expensive ATVs and side-by-sides, you know, $20,000, $30,000 or more side-by-side, they don't buy them so they can ride them on pavement. They want to ride them on dirt. And if you see, you know, the number of people that are out there riding these now, there is an explosion in the industry. It is tough to get these machines. They're on back order in some places. And a lot of people are riding them. They want to get out and find places to ride. And the difference is that we just don't have something like that here that says, here's how you're going to get from point A to point B. Here's how we're going to market it. Here's how we're going to expand it. Here's how we're going to do the maintenance on it. Here's how we're going to sign it. I did bring a sign, and I'll just grab this real quick. But applied for a Wyoming State Trails grant that we got $50,000 for recently. Money can be used for things like marketing, for mapping, for signage, and maintenance. So this is what we've started using some of the money for. These have already been placed on some of the county roads that we have established in Uintah County. So through Rick's work at the Forest Service, you know, it's been shown that if you have an American flag on there, they're less likely to get shot up. So we put that on all of our signs now. Here's, of course, our logo. Here is the directional arrow. Yes, you can go here. We have a red one with a slash through it. No, don't go here. County road, and then the number. I did give this presentation to the Sweetwater County Commissioners about 2 months ago. It was very well received. They, of course, asked that we get the municipalities on board, so that's why I'm here tonight. You know, I've tried to talk to as many different people as I can. I don't know if Gene Legursky is here. I did ask him to come tonight. Had some great conversations with him. Sheriff Grossnickel, have a letter of support from him. I did send that out to all of the council members. Just a lot of moving parts for this project, but it is a little unconventional. You know, it may not be the way that we've talked about diversifying the state of Wyoming, but this is something that is new and exciting, and it's a great possibility, and you can see the amount of traction that we've had from the other communities with the buy-in for this project. You know, the smaller communities, and maybe not necessarily Rock Springs, but the smaller communities have typically been pass-through communities for many years. People are passing through, going to the Gorge, to Yellowstone, to Bear Lake, and really this is a way that we could get them to stay in the communities, spend a little more time, definitely spend some more money, and positively impact our communities. We don't have to look far to, you know, other areas that have done something similar to see the economic benefit that they've had. Let me turn over the mic just for a couple of minutes, and I don't want to take too much time, but I'll have Kyle Bernice from State Parks come up.
Thank you. My name is Kyle Bernice. I'm the district manager for state parks for the southwestern part of the state, which includes Fort Bridger, Piedmont Kilns, Bear River State Park, as well as several other satellite sites like Point of Rocks, which is down the road here. Our offices have been involved and aware of SWAT for at least a year and a half now. We've been very supportive of the project, including our State Trails office, as Mark said. Our Office of Outdoor Recreation has been a big part of that, as well as state parks. And we see it as a way not only to connect communities, but to connect communities to some of our sites, some of our historic sites and satellite sites and some of these things that people don't necessarily get to see very often, but this could be a way to bring new faces to those places. We've also been very impressed with the collaborative nature of SWAT and how they're always willing to bring in all stakeholders and be open to hearing what people have to say so that they can make it better. And we've been, again, very supportive of the project and will continue to be moving forward. So they've been a great partner. So, thank you.
Okay, Pete Stincombe from YDOT is here also.
Thank you. I'm a district construction engineer for District 3 here in Rock Springs for the Wyoming Department of Transportation. More or less, I come along and I say what I can for him, for Mark and his group, because the governor and our director are very supportive of this as well. Like you said, we're working on some legislation, or working with people that can present some legislation this year to allow certain crossings. Like you said, they don't want to ride on our roads a lot with their side-by-sides unless you are around from around here, so summer turns into side-by-side season. But, you know, it's more for the out-of-staters and the people who are coming to visit our place. And so we're working to figure out where the best places are. We don't want to open up all of our roads, but we do want to make and work with these guys to, you know, make a lot of these connections possible. And like you said, most of our towns do have wide-out roads that go right through the middle of them, so they're going to have to get on here and there. This came to our attention big time in Evanston, where there was a section that couldn't be connected unless it was from YDOT, and that's not just the interstate, but it was right there in town. So yeah, we're working on it. We're you know, doing what we can, and we're trying to find solutions as well. I will note that if we do make this interstate crossing, it'll be the only one in the entire country. So that's kind of some precedent that Wyoming is going to set if we move forward with this project, which I think is a very good project because we can go personally, we can go all the way up to Pinedale and all the way down here to Gorge and everywhere. So, but like I said, the director is in support, and so is the governor as well. So, thank you.
And also Rick Lee from the Chamber of Commerce.
Evening. Thanks for listening to us, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but I just want to say that when Mark called me quite a while ago now, and he gave me this presentation, he talked about what SWAT was. He introduced SWAT to me and introduced their ideas and some of the things that they wanted to accomplish in Southwest Wyoming. I was pretty impressed with what he had to say and what the goal of SWAT was. After I got off the phone with Mark, I called my friend Taylor Jones, and I asked him what his thoughts were on this, is knowing that he's an enthusiast. And he gave some positive review and also gave me some things to think about and give me some things to research on. And in the end result, I would just like to recommend that the Rock Springs Chamber supports this economic development program. We see it as the trail system as bringing tourists of off-road tourists and enthusiasts into our community, into our businesses, into our hotels, into our events, into our restaurants, and spending money. We see it as an economic movement and a positive one. The SWAT program really is an opportunity for businesses to help business and communities to support communities. And you know, you've heard me say, and I know that some of you have said the same thing, that Wyoming is really the biggest small town that you're ever going to see in the world. And this gives us an opportunity to make that small town even more connected, and I think that it's a good thing, and we would just like to, on behalf of the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce, its members and its board, support this project and support Mark and his endeavors and support SWAT, and we just wanted to add our recommendation to that and our support. Thank you.
And last, I did ask Senator Kolb to join us tonight. He's been on 2 of the rides that we've had down in Evanston area and brought his side-by-side, so I asked him to come and also give a few words.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I stand here to try to, I guess, explain what this is all about, and you've heard a lot, but I think it is a little differently. I think that Rock Springs and larger communities are key, because these folks are driving around their side-by-sides. They need a place to get gas. They need a place to eat. They need a lot of the support that you don't find out in the middle of the desert. So I think it's really important that we have our larger communities like Rock Springs participate. I mean, obviously there's going to be details to be worked out, but I think it's really a positive thing for our economic development. It's going to bring in new folks. I mean, we live in the largest county in the state of Wyoming, I believe the 7th largest county in the United States, and there's a huge variety of things out there to see. And you can't really see them driving a pickup truck around. You need to have a side-by-side, and wife and I go out exploring, and there's a never-ending amount of things out there to see. And another point would be is it's safety. They put up those trail markers out there. You know, a lot of folks maybe don't have GPS, or maybe a lot of folks, I don't know, something happens. And those signs could be wayfinding signs back to town if they know which way to go, you know, back to some place where they can get help. So I think there's a lot of really good benefits to this. I'll support this legislatively. Look forward to working with the city for any details that may come up that could be issues. But I think it's really a good thing for all of us to expand our economic base when we can. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Senator. I would, I'd support this project on the condition that I get to use Senator Kolb's side by side every other weekend.
I think it's a 4-seater. You
Yeah,
3.
3, yeah.
I do have a real quick video. It's a 3.5-minute video that the state of Wyoming sent a videographer and a drone pilot out on 2 of our rides last year and shot this video for us. So I'll just play this real quick, and then I'll stand for any questions. This is an opportunity for people to come and see Southwest Wyoming in a different light than they have before.
Really, as you're looking around, you can see for tens, maybe even hundreds of miles in some directions here, and you can see snow-capped mountains, and you can look across vast rolling hills of sagebrush prairie. What's different about coming to this area and seeing it on an off-road vehicle is that you get away from the highway, you get away from the main road, so you can get to experience maybe what it was like 100 years ago.
It's just fantastic to meet the new people, where we all have something in common.
When you come to this part of Wyoming and you look at a map, you'll see lots of dirt roads and 2 tracks all over the place, but you don't know where you can go. You don't know what's allowed and what's not allowed. We're trying to make that simple and say you can experience all this recreation, all this history, and all this scenery, and here's how you can do it relatively easily.
It's just a different experience than what you get inside your vehicle on the I-80.
What the hope is with this trail system is to try and connect the communities of Southwest Wyoming, Evanston, Bridger Valley, Kemmer, and other small communities in a trail system that travels throughout the county roads and the BLM lands and other lands.
And we're just going to try to map them and market them as an experience.
Instead of our communities being pass-through communities where people are passing through, going to Bear Lake, the Uintas, Yellowstone, Flaming Gorge, it would bring people to our communities so that they could come in, stay, recreate in Southwest Wyoming, travel around the area, see the sights.
We've got a lot of things that are close. Fossil Butte to the north, Fort Bridger out at Mountain View, and the High Uinta is obviously behind us. If we can tap some of that traffic traveling through on the interstate, get them here, they're going to be in our restaurants, buying gas, buying snacks.
If you get a few thousand people to this part of the country, if you think about the number of nights in hotels that is, if you think of the number of meals they purchase, you think of the gasoline and supplies that they buy, and then over the course of a week, perhaps, if they enjoy the entire trail system, what's that economic impact going to be? It's pretty easy to calculate. That's going to be substantial.
Today, I'm very happy to announce that we've had over 70 vehicles in our first annual run. It was an exciting day.
People are going to travel here. You know, they're going to support the local merchants when they come. It would be great if we got more SWAT rides for Uinta County.
We understand that there's some complexity in this part of the state because of the checkerboarded land here, where you have private and public parcels sort of alternating in a checkerboard pattern. One thing we're absolutely sure of is that we're going to be respecting private landowners and their wishes, and to engage folks to recreate responsibly and to respect private property, to respect natural and cultural resources. And all those values are going to be enforced with the Southwest Wyoming off-road trail system.
We want to make sure that this has the input from everybody so we can make it the best possible trail system and provide for everybody's needs and wants.
There's already 350 miles of trails in the forest system. If we could connect to that, then it would probably have, around 1,000 or so miles of trails between Uinta and Lincoln County and connect to their trail system there. And it's a great opportunity for somebody to get out into the outdoors. Instead of being cooped up or around other people, come out to Southwest Wyoming, recreate out here. Okay, are there any questions?
Well, I appreciate the information. And first, councilors, any questions,
Yes.
comments?
Your Honor.
Councilor
Do
Patolo.
you have any proposed maps yet?
So phase one of our project started off down in Uinta County with 13 or so roads that we got off the ground on there. We have been working with Lincoln County a little bit to try and look at they have an existing trail system that they'd like us to try and tie into. And then, of course, trying to get into Sweetwater County as well. I did have a preliminary conversation with the mayor of Granger. Probably the most likely way to get into Sweetwater County would be maybe the old Lincoln Highway. The Lincoln Highway that we have in Uinta County, we've called that now the Lincoln Highway Trail. But coming out the other side of Lyman, that old Lincoln Highway Trail goes right to Granger. And then, there would be some considerations that we'd have to try and figure out to get away into Green River from there. And then, of course, figure out how we could make the connections to Rock Springs. One person did ask me the similar question, do you guys know what you're going to be mapping? And really, we're relying on you guys, the local knowledge, the local clubs, the local stakeholders to say, hey, this is here's the way that we should make this connection from point A to point B, and maybe we should stay away from this, or maybe we should go this direction. So we don't really have a direction into Sweetwater County right now. Have had some talks with Gene Legursky. He said he would definitely help in some of that mapping, and I think the other stakeholders in this room would be important too.
Your Honor.
Councilman West.
Thanks for the information, Mark. Appreciate the call and the conversation we had as well. Just to reiterate on some of that, I know some of the concern was, how are you guys going to get going? You've got grant requests to kind of start some of this, but how do you get funding to put up the signage that's needed? And is it all based off of the ORV sticker? That'd be my first question.
Sure.
And second would be, is it just kind of the main, in regards to Rock Springs, are we talking Elk Street and Dewar Drive for the main kind of pass-through roadways? Are we talking all the city streets as far as being allowable for ATV or I guess ORV use, or can you answer that question?
So on that first part on the state trail sticker, so that state trail sticker is a $15 sticker that has a federal match component to it, and I think it's maybe $17 or $19. That money goes into a pot of money for the state trails office that they can turn around and use for projects like ours, or maybe snowmobiling projects. I think there hasn't been a lot of that money used for off-road trails because there's not as many off-road trails as there are maybe snowmobile trails. But that money can be used for things like marketing, for mapping, for signage, for law enforcement. If the sheriff needs an extra patrol person on a heavily used trail during 4th of July, they can apply for that. They can also use it for maintenance. If they need to put up a cattle guard somewhere, then, that could be used for that as well. And there is a substantial pot of money for the state to use specifically for projects like ours. As far as the streets inside Rock Springs, I would be relying on your local knowledge, your input from law enforcement, from road and bridge departments, from local stakeholders to make those determinations that you would see best fit. Again, the idea is you want to be able to access places to get fuel, places to stay. If you have attractions, which I know you have attractions here in Rock Springs, you want to be able to let those people come and see those as well. Rock Springs is, it's a different animal than Evanston. You guys are a much, much bigger city than us. So I think there has to be some considerations to some of that stuff. But, that's again where we would be relying on you, and then working with, places like YDOT and State Trails Office to help make some of those determinations.
I guess
Councilman
question,
Zadi.
what has Evanston done as far as opening their roads? I can see it could probably be kind of confusing. Someone coming out of state, riding trails, Evanston, you can go anywhere you want within the town. I don't know if that's true or not. You come to Rock Springs and it's only a few trails. And then you go to Lander, maybe only a few roads you can use. How do we avoid that confusion? There's got to be some kind of a standard or something that people can
That's a
rely
great
on.
question, and I think in other communities they've done that with some of the signage in the cities and signage on the streets. Like in Mesquite, Nevada, they have some big placards that say, "Hey, you can't go this way. OHV traffic has to go this way." I think education is the other part of it. You have to try and educate these riders as much as they can. Whether that's maps and brochures, whether that's apps that, that they can download, whether that's trailhead signage or parking lot signage, here's where you can ride, here's where you can't ride. Each one of the communities might be a little bit different. The communities that have signed on right now, we're small enough that we've just said we're going to, carte blanche. You can drive anywhere. If you want to get to Walmart, here's how you can go right through town to get to Walmart. If you want to get to, the Hampton Inn, here's how you're going to get to the Hampton Inn.
I would think it'd be similar than share the road like a bike path or something like that. But there's going to be the controversy is the mountain bikers are not going to like the ATVers, and you're going to have that rub that we have. And I guess the question I have, and I think I asked you this when I spoke to you on the phone, was when you buy the, I'd imagine the $15 sticker is just the ORV sticker.
Correct.
And so there's obviously some safety precautions. You have to have brake lights, you have to have a mirror, that kind of stuff go along with that?
It has to have like the street legal requirements. You do have to have insurance, you have to have a headlight, you have to have a tail light.
Right.
I think blinkers maybe can be used as hand signals,
Right.
Even with a motorbike, I believe. But, some of those basic requirements for vehicles you have to have.
That's what what's that?
You have to be old enough to drive.
Yeah. Well, and that comes the other problem because here in Rock Springs, it seemed like during the summer we're pretty much open anyway. We don't even have to pass an ordinance. Sometimes you just see numerous side-by-sides and ATVs, and the vast majority of them, they understand the rules, and we live in Wyoming, and you'd like to see that happen all the time. I'd like to be at a point that we get enough snow that I could run down to the grocery store on my snow machine and not worry about it. But it is a bit dangerous. We have busy streets, and we'd have to have that conversation on what streets we feel would be a good connector to get people where they need to go. So what, Mark, are you asking of us?
Sure. So what SWAT would be asking is what we've done with the similar communities is to consider an ordinance to allow ATVs, side-by-sides on city streets. You could determine what city streets, how many city streets, but we would be asking for a similar ordinance. And I did send Kristen all of the other ordinances that have been approved from the other communities, so she does have that and she can share that with you whenever you'd like to take a look at that. But yeah, that would be what we would be requesting is to allow HEVs and side-by-sides into the community so that people could come up and use the amenities of Rock Springs.
Your Honor.
Councilman West?
As far as, I think the whole concept of what you guys are doing is a great thing, but being able to police that, and I'm not going to speak on behalf of Chief Pacheco here, but the ORV sticker needs to be displayed, somewhere where obviously it can be visible to any law enforcement needs. Like Mayor Como stated, through the neighborhoods of Rock Springs, there's people flying around on any piece of machinery, even lawnmowers half the time I've seen, but
sure.
I know there's rules that it's supposed to be visible when you put those on, whether it's snow machine or what have you, but are you getting any feedback from these other communities that have passed, these ordinance changes or anything, or is it just Rock Springs that are the weird community in the Southwest here? Because I just see this as a good thing for trying to support what you guys are doing, but also creating kind of a monster of enforcement issues.
Sure. You know, the other sheriffs, the other chiefs of police have been very supportive. I think part of the issue is that everyone needs to recognize that you're saying it yourselves. They're already doing it. They're already out on the streets. But this would be a way to maybe help manage it and at least have some type of, you know, state statute and some law behind it saying, okay, you know, you really can't be out on the street unless you have unless you have a sticker, and you got to go get a sticker. Here's where you can get them at. That helps the program. That helps us. That especially helps you. And you know, the other communities, you know, they haven't brought it up. You know, a lot of the other communities do have a lot of ag that's traveling into and out of those communities, and it's probably the same thing here. You see some of that as well, but you know, they're already doing it. They're riding on the side of the highway. They're riding on the right of way, on the shoulder, on the borrow ditch. They're riding there already. So this is a way to help kind of manage that.
Your Honor. Mayor.
Councilman Robinson, whoops.
I'll let Mr. Beckwith speak first. He may be covering what I...
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Mayor, Council, I just wanted to tell Mr. Tesoro that, you know, so long as the vehicles are street legal, I see no prohibition against them, you know, using our streets freely, so long as, you know, they're licensed drivers and they have insurance and their vehicles are legal under Wyoming law with lights and tail lights and so forth. And you can certainly use your hands for signals. Right now, I think that we already have a number of street legal four-wheelers that are used in town by any number of people. So I think they're already free to roam our streets as they see fit, so long as they obey the laws and are street legal.
Not as they see fit, though. Here's my, and before I get to you, here's my biggest concern, because I've actually seen this occur. Usually these groups, and I've been in these groups, you get together with 20, 30 of us riding, and so we're in a new community and we're going down Main Street. I think that's where the key comes back to management is, especially in Rock Springs, where we have very fast drivers, you know, 4 or 5 lane roads, where you just don't come up to an arterial road like that and just decide that 20 of you are going to blast across it. There's got to be some following of rules and traffic signs and designated crossings. Maybe we'd even have to consider installing similar to a crosswalk where groups of people, if we needed to get them to a certain location, you know, we might have to consider a crossing of some sort. But yeah, that's where you do have to manage that. But I think the vast majority, everybody understands they have a responsibility, whether it's on a snow machine or an ATV or whatever. But you got to be defensive. You got to be aware of your surroundings, and you have to follow the rules. Councilor Robinson, do you have something?
I think everybody pretty much covered what I was going to talk about, but I did want to ask a question as far as what groups do you plan on marketing this to? In your video, I saw, you know, Jeeps and, you know, 4x4 full-size vehicles,
sure,
side-by-sides and everything. What groups are you going to be marketing to? Who are you going to try to attract, and how are you going to do that?
Sure. I think it's no secret that, you know, the number of people that are down on the Wasatch Front, down in the Salt Lake, Wasatch Front area, that are already traveling to other places to ride their ATVs and side-by-sides would be an easy group to invite to Southwest Wyoming. You know, these are people, and I mentioned this at some of the other meetings. You know, when we're talking about marketing snowmobiles and you know, the impact of snow machines in the state and the number of people that come to the state is substantial. We could be marketing to those people for summer riding as well. A lot of those people are not just single motorsports families. They ride ATVs and side-by-sides in the summer. So when you're at a snowmobile show saying, hey, come to Wyoming and ride in Pinedale, be talking to them about coming back and riding in the summer. Come and ride the Red Desert. Come and ride Come and ride all that there is to see in Sweetwater County, Uintah County, Lincoln County, Sublette County. Come see Southwest Wyoming. And it's not just again, the people that I met from Tennessee, they come out every year for the past 8 years to the west and ride. They're looking for places to ride. And there are plenty of enthusiasts in the Intermountain area that are looking for new places to ride. So we can be inviting Colorado, residents to come and check out what there is to see. We can invite Idaho. But the other thing too that we shouldn't look beyond is that we could be inviting people from Evanston to come here.
Right.
Let's ride the dirt roads and see all that there is to see between Evanston and here. Our motto that we came up with early on last year was we want to connect the communities, connect the forest, and connect the historical sites. So it's not just out-of-state visitors, but it's interstate visitors as well. People could ride from Green River to come over here to have lunch.
Right.
There's a lot of possibilities.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I try to follow a lot of travel and tourism sites, websites and the like, and advertising the Utah channel at your leisure. I can't tell you how many communities that you look at that they're promoting, that they are promoting just exactly what you're talking about. Come out and ride our trail system. Spend money, buy parts, buy fuel, spend a night kind of thing. So I support the idea, just rethinking to make sure that we do it in a safe manner. I support the idea. For many years we've had a vision of connecting the Green River Trail system through Rock Springs, whether it's along the Bitter Creek or over the mountain, then into Pointer Rocks to the Pony Express Trail stop. But there's unlimited opportunity from there. I mean, the Red Desert, the whole 9 yards. I just wondered when you get into that checkerboard, and it's not really so much maybe Rock Springs grazing now, not Anadarko, but
Sweetwater Royalties.
Sweetwater Royalty.
We have been in contact with them as well.
Okay. Those are all good communications to have. Yeah.
I've got another comment.
Councilman West?
So in response to your comment, Rick, I mean, they would be street legal if we passed ordinance, but right now they are not street legal. So I'm confused at the point you're making.
Councilor West, I believe Mr. Tesoro represented that most of the vehicles were street legal. Is that incorrect?
That's correct.
Yeah. So that means that they have lights, and they would have if they are street legal.
If they're licensed.
Well, and of course they have to be licensed, of course.
Which I would bet a large majority of them are not licensed.
Yeah, I would say a large majority are not licensed.
And if I could, that's what we're asking, is that they don't have to be licensed to use the roadway. They just need the ORV sticker.
Correct.
My side-by-side, I get a license, so I can drive anywhere because I've got
That's
a plate.
correct as well.
But
So if somebody has a
asking-
license, circumvents them having to have the sticker. They can ride anywhere they want. They can do that right now. They can ride from here to
So really
Pinedale
what we're
if they want.
talking about is those vehicles that don't necessarily have a license, but have the ORV tag. They can do the same. And I think Pete was going to say something. Did you have something, Pete?
Yeah, I think Forrest touched on it last time when we were up in Southwest County. Just so everybody knows, most of the other states in the country license plate for your four-wheeler or your side-by-side. So people coming from out of state
They're not good. Right.
The sticker will allow them to do that.
And I understand that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be negative on the subject, but they're not going to complain to SWAT. They're going to complain to the council and the mayor, and trust me, we get it already.
Sure.
I got a handful of them last year just riding around in an empty lot in a residential neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
Well, by us changing this, that makes them legal. They're good to do it as they please. So these are just some of the things that need to be worked out before we jump into creating a resolution that we can't enforce because we're short on budgeting and staffing and don't have enough, law enforcement. So then we're spending all of our time chasing down people on side-by-sides and not fighting the real crimes. And, I could go on and on. You get the point. So those are the questions and the reason I'm asking for them. But I also don't know too many four-wheelers that have a horn on them, which would make them street legal. So I think there's more to it than just passing an ordinance that says we allow anything. Did you have something to say?
If I could, sorry.
Sorry. Rob. I was getting a drink of water.
Oh, Rick, did you have
Councilor West, I just wanted to say that I think in order for any motor vehicle to operate on the streets, I think it is required to be licensed. And so I think that has to be addressed at the state level, probably through statute, and give us the authority to be able to recognize that. I'm not certain that we would be able to waive those state statutory requirements.
So is that how Evanston handled it?
So Evanston just enrolled all of their city streets into the program with the OHV sticker, $15 sticker. You know, you can ride anywhere. There are some state statutes that have exemptions for ag. You know, like you mentioned, snowmobiles. You can ride snowmobiles when there's snow on city streets and even on state highways. Some state highways, but this would be tweaking some of the language so that you could allow ATVs and side-by-sides just with the sticker.
But is that our language to tweak, or is it state language to tweak?
Your Honor, I can't answer that question at this time. I'm going to have to review the statutes that he's referring to. Again, I think it would, in order for us to recognize stickers on that in that way, we'd have to be authorized by, I would think, by state statute to do so.
Will you please take a look and we'll get.
I certainly will, Your Honor.
Councilman Zani?
I just, given people, all we're doing is saying they can operate legally on our streets with an ORV sticker. It's not going to give anybody the right to go a vacant lot and kick up dirt and spin cookies and disturb their neighbors. Operate it the same way you do a vehicle. The only thing is you don't have to have a license plate to access these roads. So we're not opening up willy-nilly to anybody and everybody to do whatever they want. We have ordinances there that prohibit people from going certain miles an hour within certain feet of residential areas that are not kicking up dirt. That's not going to change anything. All we're saying is you don't need to get a license plate. You just need an ORV sticker to operate on the streets.
Some of that language on state statutes might be in some of the ordinances that I sent Kristen, so she does have all of that.
Your Honor.
Councilman Robinson.
Just one, excuse me, got some water, went down the wrong pipe. One of the things that would probably end up happening too, though, to think about is once you say, if you've got an ORV sticker, you can go anywhere, then all the current people who are registering their vehicles will no longer be registering their vehicles because there wouldn't be a need to locally. So just one more thing to look at.
Yeah, I was
Your
thinking
Honor.
the same. Chief?
Your Honor, I did have one question for Mr. Tesoro. And someone, I don't know who said it, but that a lot of states do not allow the UTVs to be registered. Do they allow them to be insured? Do you know the answer to that question?
I don't know that question, but a lot of people that are buying these vehicles, they're buying them for recreation purposes, same way you buy a boat. And a lot of people may not insure them, but most people do. And of course, you're going to have people that are breaking the law or just refuse to do it. I mean, you're going to get that in every walk of life, that people don't buy insurance, but it is a requirement. It is say clearly on the fine print of the $15 off-road sticker that you have to have insurance.
So, Your Honor, follow-up to that is, I think it's key that if the city goes down this road, and I obviously would support this, but I think it's key to know what those access points are, because you are allowing that ORV sticker to access the roadways. So we don't open the Pandora's box and everybody stops registering their UTVs because they say, well, we can just go anywhere. I was surprised to hear you say that Evanston opened up all of their roadways, all of their streets. But, I think if you did that, then you would have just an ORV sticker to be street legal in the municipality.
I'd say we write something that says that we'd open up certain streets to allow an ORV sticker to be accepted on the condition that you pay your dues to the club, that they're members of the club. And if you're paying your dues to the club, then your ORV sticker passes. It's a great way to generate funds for the club and build trail systems, I'm thinking.
Your Honor, that may be unconstitutional.
Yeah, well, in these days, does it really matter, Rick? I like the idea. I think it's something that I think will require a little more research and discussion, but I like the direction you're going. I've known many of these people for many years, rode with them, and whether snow machines, ATVs, side-by-sides, or whatever, it's great to see people getting out, and anytime we can spur, economic prosperity, getting people out to recreate, to spend a little bit of time in our community, see the sights, I'm all for it. So I do appreciate the chance, the opportunity to listen to what direction you were taking, and if you would give us a little bit of time to have some discussion with the council, have Rick do a little bit of research to see what we can come up with, and some input with Mr. Kausich for sure, Mr. Lansing, all the department heads really are going to have some buy-in in it. See where we can go, but I think we can make something work.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I really appreciate the time, Mayor Como and Chairman West and Council. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me.
Yeah, sounds good, Mark. We appreciate the input and hearing what you're all about. And by all means, I think it's a great idea and seems to fit who we are in Wyoming, and people want to get out and recreate.
Thank you.
Okay. We're still under presentations and proclamations, councilors. We do have a proclamation for School Choice Week proclamation, January 23rd through the 29th, 2029, or 22. Getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Our proclamation reads, all children in Rock Springs should have access to the highest quality education possible. And Rock Springs recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in government named to be successful adults. And quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of Rock Springs. And Rock Springs is home to a multitude of high-quality public and non-public schools from which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who educate their children in the home. And educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community. And Rock Springs has many high-quality teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children. And School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options. And now, therefore, I, Timothy A. Como, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare January 23rd through the 29th to be School Choice Week in the City of Rock Springs. And I urge parents to better understand their school choice options and utilize National School Choice Week for assistance in navigating the process of finding schools or learning environments that best meet their children's needs. And I don't think we have anybody here to accept this, but we'll get it to the proper people. Okay, this is going to move us on to the petitions section of our agenda. I would ask if there's anyone here tonight wishing to address the council on any issue whatsoever. This is your time to do so. Anyone? More people just continue to leave. I'm going to close the petitions and move on to the officers and staff reports. Councilors, underneath the officer and staff reports, we have item number 1, the health insurance fund recap for December 2021. 2, the financial report summary for December 2021. And 3, the Rock Springs Renewal Fund financial statements for July through September 2021. Councilors, I would entertain a motion to approve the officers and staff reports and place on file.
Your Honor, so moved.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this is going to bring us to the council committee and board reports. Councilors, item number 1, the Rock Springs Historical Museum Board meeting minutes of December 8th, 2021. And I would ask, is there any other council committee or board reports due at this time wishing to come forward? Hearing none, councilors, I'd entertain a motion to approve the council committee and board reports in place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's going to bring us to correspondence, councilors, of which we have none. Moving on to bills and claims. Item number 1, the bills and claims for January 18th, 2022. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demas.
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for January 18th, 2022.
We do have a motion to approve the bills and claims for January 18th, 2022. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstained.
Let the record show. Item number 2, the salaries for January 7th, 2021. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demas.
I make a motion to approve the salaries for January 7th, 2022.
We do have a motion to approve the salaries for January 7th, 2022. Change that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this can bring us to new business items, of which we have 3. Item number 1 is the request from the Engineering and Operations and Public Services Department for permission to extend the 2021 fuel contract with Homex Oil Sales Incorporated for a period of 1 year. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demas.
I make a motion to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request from engineering. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 2 is the request from Engineering Operations and Public Services Department for permission to extend the 2021 uniform contract with ALSCO for a period of 1 year. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman West.
move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3 is a request from the Parks and Recreation Department for permission to move forward with the acquisition of various water well components to rehabilitate well number 5 and number 6 at the White Mountain Golf Course in the amount of $52,171.13. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo.
move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And this is going to move us on to the resolutions section of our agenda, of which we have 3. Item number 1, Resolution 2022-04.
A resolution to formally release, vacate, and abandon the city's interest in a temporary construction easement previously accepted in resolution number 2006-221 from the Diocese of Cheyenne.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Halter?
move to approve 2022-04.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-04. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councilor Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 2, Resolution 2022-05.
A resolution accepting and approving an administrative services agreement with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming and authorizing and directing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said agreement on behalf of the city when it is received.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your
Councilman
Honor.
Savage?
Move to approve Resolution 2022-05.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-05. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councilor West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 3, resolution 2022-06.
A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Rock Springs and Sweetwater County Fire District Number 1, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said memorandum of understanding on behalf of said city.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Honor.
Councilman Batolo?
Move to approve 2022-06.
We do have a motion to approve resolution 2022-06. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Councilors, this is going to bring us to the ordinance section of our agenda, of which we have 3 items. First ordinance 2022-01 on second reading.
An ordinance amending Article 13.6 entitled Definitions and Article 13.8 entitled Zone District Regulations to define and list mobile vendors as allowable uses within the City of Rock Springs.
Item number 2, ordinance 2022-02, first reading.
An ordinance amending Article 7.6 entitled Contractor Licensing of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Item number 3, ordinance 2022-03, first reading.
An ordinance amending Article 7.1 entitled Building Code of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Councilors, with no further business to come before this city council, this meeting is adjourned.